Normally, I would say you have to slow down. The two countries really work together because Kyrgyzstan with its outdoors, its mountain, its trekking, and Uzbekistan for its history and culture. I think you really need to bring Kazakhstan into that equation. It's not like Europe, where you can say, I'm going to do bang, 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 bang. You have to slow down to smell the coffee.
Stuart, nice to host you in this place. This is my dacha, located in Western Tyan-Shan mountains, 80 kilometers outside the Tashkent. And I have a privilege to host this most experienced traveler between Southeast Asia and Central Asia, and now having his long journey from Bali to Leeds. Tell in few words what you are doing in tourism.
Well, the privilege is really mine that you have brought me to your dacha. It's not something that I ever expected I would be able to do.
Really?
An opportunity and experience to have something like this in Tashkent or outside Tashkent. Memorable. But yeah, what am I doing? I'm traveling from, as you said, from Bali to Leeds, and we have some downtime in Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan because I've never been to this region of the world before, and it sounded very interesting, and because the two countries really work together because Kyrgyzstan with its outdoors, its mountain, its trekking, this sort of thing, and Uzbekistan for its history and culture, and there's sort of an intermingling between the two, but like in the food, for example. Yeah, so it's been a very interesting period of downtime.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about this combination of two destinations. Yes, this is a good point. And how do you think? Was it right choice to start from Kyrgyzstan and finish in Uzbekistan if it is about two countries only? Yes, because it's enough for normal travel for like 2 weeks, yeah?
Sure.
Or 10 days, 12 days, yeah. But if you like do it again, would you do it the same order or opposite orders? Let's start from this.
Yeah, that's a hard thing for me to answer because I'm finished with Kyrgyzstan now, but I'm only 1 week into what is going to be almost 3 weeks in Uzbekistan. So
but
it's a difficult thing.
You can imagine, yes, that you will spend more days, like one more week in historical towns. Yes.
Yeah.
How do you think can mountain and outdoor Kyrgyzstani tourism product be a good complement after exhausting running around historical caravanserais of Silk Road, yes, which Uzbekistan offers like a tour product?
I think it really depends on the individual traveler, you know. Kyrgyzstan's strength, I guess I would say, is its outdoors. So if you don't have a big interest to go trekking a long way, blah, 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 then you might only spend a small amount of time there, but you would spend longer in Uzbekistan for the culture and the Silk Road history and so on and so forth. But I think they're very complementary destinations. And I know that you said earlier that we were only going to talk about these two, but I think you really need to bring Kazakhstan into that equation because, as you know, I really enjoyed my time in Almaty. And although I didn't have time to travel further in Kazakhstan and also Tajikistan from the south, you really, once you come here and start to travel, you realize how much they fit together. And so,
but for countries, this is too much for regular trip, yes.
Well,
which is usually limited by 12, 14 days.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, if I was coming here for, let's say, for example, a 2-week holiday, I would only pick one country. I wouldn't try to put them together.
Oh, even not two, yeah?
No,
one.
Just one.
You would prefer deeply explore, yes, one.
Because from what I understand, particularly at this time of year, Uzbekistan is hot. And so if you're out in the west doing visiting Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva, there's only so much time you want to spend outside when it's 43 degrees, you know. And even though it's not trekking up the mountain like in Kyrgyzstan, it's still trekking at the same altitude because it's so hot and it's hard work. So, but if you have more time, if you travel slower, then you have time to say, okay, I'm in Samarkand, I don't need to go and see A, B, C, D, E today. I can just go and see A in the morning, and be in the late afternoon. And the rest of the time I can hang out in the homestay, or I can, I don't know, do a cooking course or whatever, something slow. But I think for both of these countries, you can't come here and say, it's not like Europe, where you can say, I'm going to do bang, 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 bang. You have to allow time. You have to, like what I always say about Southeast Asia is you have to slow down to smell the coffee. I know that's ridiculous coming from me because I'm traveling from Bali to Leeds in 64 days. But normally I would say you have to slow down, because that's why we have the time to spend, well, the half a day we spent with you yesterday. Again, thank you. And also
In Tashkent.
Tashkent.
In the very center of
in
Tashkent.
the very center. And then this whole afternoon, which has been fantastic, and it's also emblematic of the hospitality that you get in this region that you just don't encounter in the same way. You have to work so much harder to get that now in Southeast Asia, because so much of it is so densely touristed, and so local people are not so worn out by tourists, you know, and you have more opportunities to sort of have people say, come into my life a little bit, let me show you a little bit more. And you need time to let that happen.
And now we stop for one moment. She will spoil the entire performance. Okay, sit here. Sit. She's excited, yeah. Our dog arrived. No, it's not possible. No.
Тогда будет скулёж.
Увлекай ее, поувлекай, поразвлекай.
We should have two versions of this video, one with the interview.
This part of the video will be fun for us. Yeah?
This will be the bit that everyone...
This is the real life. Yeah.
Здесь будем стоять.
Stuart, I wanna stick on a few things which you just mentioned. First is word slow, and second is homestays. Let's start from the last one. I read in your comprehensive LinkedIn report of some of your days in Kyrgyzstan, where you pointed to this definition, homestay. I have never thought so deeply about, considered so deeply, this difference in definition. But as one of my teachers in tourism taught me long ago, everything starts from the right definition. I mean, tourism development, yes, because you have to understand definition first, and after you go, yes, accordingly. Otherwise, it's mixing up. So people call homestay now everything, especially in remote areas of Central Asia. Sometimes you see the entire hotel, yes, it's like small hotel, and still it's written homestay, yeah. Or it is like some few rooms, but as you mentioned in your LinkedIn post, few rooms, but served as a hotel. Yes, family is not living there anymore. Yeah. So how do you think the definition homestay and the definition guest house and other definitions about like small hotels or family hotels or hotel or boutique hotel? Yes. How should we correctly call things? Yes, not to make wrong understanding of potential customers, yes, and to create right experience, yes, which is about the place.
Well, I think the important thing with tourism is words matter, you know, and using the right word matters. And a really good example is a boutique hotel.
Okay.
Right? When I think of a boutique hotel, I know exactly what I think it is, but there's probably 50 boutique hotels in Tashkent. I don't know. It's just a label that somebody applies without thinking about what it really is. So with homestay and guest house, and this isn't an issue only in this part of the world, it's the same in Southeast Asia, but I think of a homestay as you are staying in somebody's home.
Your expectations, yes, are to stay.
Well, I think that's what it really is, but it gets co-opted and used by other businesses, even though they are not a true homestay. And a true homestay, to how I think about it, is when you and the host, the family or whoever is welcoming you, you are all under the one roof. And the value in that is that there's a much closer relationship. So say for example, we stayed in a homestay in Kazaraman in Kyrgyzstan. And it was an excellent place. Like the hosts were very friendly, very accommodating, but the family slept in one building and the guests were in another. And so there were accommodations made. So the guests were allowed to drink alcohol in their building, for example, but in the family house, there's no alcohol. So as soon as you have that separation, you have two sets of rules. And so it makes it more difficult in both directions to understand how people live. So if I go and stay in a real homestay and they don't drink alcohol and they don't want alcohol in their house, then that's my way of understanding that piece of that culture. And I just think it's a better way of gaining a fuller understanding of how a different society or culture works and why. You know, it might be for religious reasons, it might be for some other reason. You know, it doesn't need to be alcohol, it can be any number of different things. But as soon as the two groups of people are in separate buildings, then there is this separation, and it's like the space between them is like a wall. And travel done well is about removing that wall. And I mean, the advantage of having that separation also is for the family, it protects their privacy. Like even in a real homestay, you don't go into the parents' bedroom, you know, and they have their own bathroom and things like that. There is still always some separation. And that's important because you need to respect the family's privacy. But as soon as they're in separate buildings, then the divide gets wider. And then when you have a guest house with 50 rooms, then the divide is that much more again. But and for some people, maybe that's what they want. But for people who want to learn more and want to get close to the culture, then that's sort of what you're working towards.
But from the point of view of the owners themselves, the reason is to get more guests. Yes, they are quite like afraid to restrict, for instance, alcohol. Yes, even if their own values are like this. Yes, because they are afraid to lose some portion of guests who will not be happy with this. And here I think segmentation can help. Yes, because first you have to segment who is your guest. Yes, and if for your guest experience is valuable more than the possibility to drink beer at night, yes, so this means this is your guest, and you will sharpen, you will create conditions in your homestay for particularly this guest, and don't try to grab that segment which is not yours. And from the guest perspective, it will be the same. Yes, if you see alcohol is prohibited, and if it is important for you, I know you are not drinking, but generally, so you will not go to that place. Yes,
I just use that as an example. But from the business, from the family's point of view, the more you try to be everything to everyone, the more you lose, and you have nothing to give. You know?
So one size fits all doesn't work.
For anybody.
It doesn't work.
And I understand the tendency, like the pressure through capitalism and growth and everything to make more money. But in the same thing, some of the best places are small. And the family can have a going concern. They don't have to have 50 rooms. They don't have to be taking so many people. If they don't want people, I don't mean to keep going on about alcohol, but it's just the easiest example. If they don't want people drinking alcohol on their premises, then they should say so. They should be proud of how they live, and it should be, that onus should be on the guest to respect it. Because I mean, that's like all travel. You're going to somebody's house and they say, please take your shoes off. You don't say, no, I'm going to wear my shoes. You know, it's always the same principle.
Yeah, good example, by the way, with shoes.
Yeah.
Nobody afraid to say, please
take your shoes off. And who is going to say, I'm going to wear my shoes in your house?
I think the same with alcohol. Yes, this is a sensitive point, of course. Yes, alcohol, but nobody will say no, I want to drink my alcohol,
Right.
yes. But how do you think, should it be properly articulated everywhere, in booking system, yes, or in booklet, everywhere, yeah?
absolutely. I mean, yeah, on the booking platforms and everything, wherever the guest house is trying to, like, the guest house needs, like, and this I think comes back to not training, but better explaining to these people who often have no experience in tourism. They have
And
just
no education
and limited education and
in tourism, I
in
mean,
tourism.
specialized.
But it just happens that they live in a town that for some reason tourists want to come to, and they have a nice property and they're like, oh, okay, let's turn it into a homestay or a guest house, but they don't really understand what that means. And so I think better explaining, okay, this is how you can attract the right people for your place. I mean, maybe there's somebody else who loves to drink alcohol, and so, you know, that can be like a party place or whatever, you know. But so you better educate the guests by having information on the booking site or website or Instagram or whatever, and you better explain to the host that it is their right to decide who they would like to welcome into their house. You know, these are not complicated things.
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
these are really
exactly.
quite simple.
Just about right articulation.
Yeah.
And from your perspective, homestay and guest house, is it the same?
No.
No?
No.
What is the difference?
The homestay is where you stay in the same building as the family. That's the only thing that is in the homestay. But the guest house is where there might be some rooms with the family, but there's also other rooms somewhere else, you know, in another building or whatever, or the family doesn't live there or something like that. But this is a really common problem with tourism. Like, tourism is forever coming out with new, like, sustainable tourism, reinventing tourism, with responsible tourism, blah, 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 you know, whatever.
Yeah. There are many buzzwords.
Many buzzwords.
About it.
And everybody takes it and says, yeah, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. But nobody can even agree on what sustainable tourism is, you know? And so bringing it back to something far simpler, where are we under the same roof or are we not under the same roof? This should be very clearly defined.
Okay.
And the clearer it is that it's defined, then it becomes easier for the hosts and it becomes easier for the guests.
As a tourism development guy, I see now a challenge for Central Asia to synchronize this definition, because in different, as you say, especially for long haul guests, they're interested to visit few countries at the same time, yes, and it's very important to synchronize these definitions, yes, because at every country it's different. In Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan, you will find many homestays. Either it is real homestay, like you say, or not.
Yeah.
In Uzbekistan, I have never seen homestay. In Uzbekistan, you will see guest houses everywhere. Again, there are many questions. Is this like, according to law in Uzbekistan, guest house is a house with maximum 10 beds,
Right.
where family is living according to law, and they have special taxation, very small tax, yes, affordable. Therefore, guest houses are spreading, yes, as a business. But look, you just cross a border. It's the same Fergana Valley from Osh to Andijan, and you see homestay there, guest house here, but it could be the same. So confusion, yeah. So I see we have to settle on the regional level this small but important point, yeah.
And I think because, like, when you're talking about it from a governmental point of view, that's a whole different set of issues coming in, like taxation and how you class properties, because they don't class them by are you under the same roof, it's by how many bodies do you have in beds, you know, so we can tax you. And it's a completely different view. But for example, like where we plan to stay in Bukhara, it is, like, to my mind, a homestay, but the owner calls it a hotel.
Yeah,
You know?
it will be hotel.
Yeah.
I think it will be hotel in Bukhara.
So these kind of complications just make everything a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. But for many people, it doesn't really matter. Like, these kind of issues are not on their radar. You know, they're looking for a cheap place or or a place that's central, and they don't care if it's a homestay or a guest house or a resort or whatever. But for people who are interested in that, then this kind of stuff matters. And so the better that we can tell people what we're actually talking about, what's being sold, what the package is, the more likely we are to get the right guests and the right hosts and put them together.
Yeah. And now I see we are slowly coming to the slow tourism point, which was like the second point I wanted to discuss with you. So look, if it is about real slow tourism, yes, which is growing globally now, yes, people want a more deep experience, yes, don't run, yes, from place to place. Our previous point is very important, because if I'm like slow tourist, I wanna spend really slow time. That means time full of local experiences. This is very important for me to come to the homestay. Yes, if I'm looking for homestay, but if finally I have found myself in a small hotel, doesn't matter in Bukhara or somewhere in Jailao in mountains of Kyrgyzstan, my expectation will be broken. Yes, I will not get what I expected. Yes, because even small hotel with some family serving, but they will not make my time real experiential. Really slow. I will not see how they cook food. Yes, how they interact between each other, family members. Yes, this, that. So for slow tourism, besides accommodation, what do you think is important to pay attention to develop? Because this is a growing segment.
I think it's a really important one. And even though you said earlier, many people are only coming for 12 days or maybe 2 weeks or whatever, but not everybody. You know, some people are lucky enough they're able to travel for longer periods. And something that they've done in Southeast Asia in a few destinations now, because you often have like something that is very famous for one thing. So everyone comes to see that one thing, and then they can tick it and they go. But it's very rare that somewhere only has one thing to see. And so they came up with this idea called Stay Another Day. And so what it was, okay, you're here, you've seen this, but there's all these other things. So if you stay one more day, you can start to see other things. Now, it's not always possible. Like they've already bought their train tickets, whatever. But people start to do that kind of thing, and then they write about it, they blog, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And so people start to realize, well, actually in Samarkand, I can see the history stuff, but there's also this really excellent cooking course. So maybe I should make an extra day. And then as soon as they stay 2 days, then let's see how we can make them stay longer. And so then for maybe 1 year from now or 2 years from now, people are planning their trips and they're like, well, actually there's so much to do, so many things I want to see in Samarkand, as an example. Then, well, I'm not going to have time to go to Bukhara and Khiva, for example. So they're just going to spend more time there. And that's slowing down. You know, that's not having a holiday that is like a military expedition, you know, like the trip I'm doing, you know.
North Pole expedition.
Yeah, you know. And so it's having the extra time, because the longer you spend in one destination, the more of your money that stays in that destination. As long as you're not staying at like a Marriott or something, you know, you're staying local businesses. Every day you're doing something. Every day you step outside your homestay, guest house, hotel, whatever, you have the opportunity to put your money in local people's hands. And that is a really, really important issue, because it's one of the biggest problems with tourism is how much money goes offshore.
Of course, yes.
So if you can encourage people,
many people care about it, yes?
More.
When they pay, they're caring.
Not enough. But the longer you can get people to stay in one place, which means slowing down, naturally they will be spending more money in that destination, and hopefully they will be spending that money with local businesses, local guides, whatever. and that benefits the destination more than someone who flies in, stays at some international chain hotel, does a 6-hour tour, goes back to the airport and leaves. Like they leave nothing.
And what I like was Stuart mentions destination is not a country. Yes, destination can be one city or one village, one place where people stay.
Yeah.
And I see another opportunity which is created by this approach, yes, to stay slowly in one destination. So anyway, people are heard about, like, for instance, they stay longer in Samarkand and Bukhara, but they have heard about Khiva, yes, and this creates opportunity to attract them again, because coming back is a main obstacle for sustainable tourism development.
Absolutely.
Particularly in Uzbekistan. People come one time only because they have seen everything. Tashkent, Samarkand, Bukhara, Khiva, it's enough. Yes.
Exactly.
They know there are good places like Fergana Valley, Nukus, Surkhand area, yes, but it's not enough for them to make a decision to come again. So, but if we slower them, in some destinations, so we have a chance to attract them again. This is like
I think
retention rate is important indication.
the repeat tourism rate is critical, and a really good example again is Thailand and Vietnam. So Thailand has a very high repeat tourism rate. Vietnam doesn't, and there's probably lots of different reasons that filter into that. But one of the reasons is that Vietnam is a long, thin country, and all of the top shelf attractions are pretty neatly in a row across the country. And so
like Silk Road, yeah.
Exactly, like the Silk Road. And the Silk Road is sort of, it's a bit of a poison chalice, because people think, like I did, you know, I have to come here. I've always been interested in the Silk Road. And it's like, okay, how can I follow the Silk Road? And as soon as you're following the Silk Road, it's just like another banana pancake trail, you know, that everybody is going to the same places, and the rest of the country remains a mystery. So this is the opportunity for people like Uzbekistan Tourism to sort of step in and say, okay, how can we get people to come off the main Silk Road? Like the Silk Road, there's many Silk Roads, you know, so how do we veer people off into other places? And as soon as you start to do that, they can't fit everything in. So, you know, if you imagine, say, the Fergana Valley, where there was enough there that people knew about to keep them busy for 1 week, then they don't have time to go to the rest. So then, if people are enjoying it, they enjoy the hospitality and the food, and they say, okay, this year we see the west, and next year we see the east. That kind of thing, and then that's what you build upon. And coming back to what I was saying earlier, the real advantage here is you have this cluster of countries that fit well together. It's like a jigsaw that, you know, you could say, like I loved Almaty, and so I can say, okay, I'll come back to Almaty, but this time I'm going to go to Tajikistan as well, or something like that, because they're all relatively close, you know. The roads are not great, but this kind of thing. And so it's slowing people down, giving them more paths. The more effectively you can do that, the more likely you are going to increase people coming back for a second, third, fourth time.
And few more minutes of your time before we experience Banya. Because now the Mekong Corridor example came to my mind. Do you know about this project?
Yeah.
Is it really working project? I mean, for practitioners like you are. By the way, Stuart has a travelfish.org. This is a travel consultancy, travel planning website and entire organization. Yes, I have seen a lot of people. Yes, consultants working there. Is it really working, Mekong Corridor? First part of my question, and second part, do we really need some kind of corridors like that, and can we take maybe some best practices here in Central Asia, or it works differently?
I think it's not a new idea. You know, I've been writing about Southeast Asia for almost 30 years, so there's been variations on this for quite some time. The core purpose of it is good. It's sort of let's drag people tempt people off the main trails to try and see other things in multiple
I'm
countries.
sorry to disturb you, because as I understood, corridor concept is a planning concept, yes? Of course, people don't use it in regular, like tour operators don't use it, yes, tourists don't use it, but those who plan tourism in each country and regionally, yes, they use corridor concept. They have it in their head. Is this like this? Sorry,
Yeah,
yes.
but if you think, what is a corridor? It's a corridor is like a long thing with a few doors on it, right? So you can go off into different things, but there's things between every door, you know? And so yes, you can draw lines and create relationships between them and encourage, you know, cooperation and that kind of stuff. But I think the issue in this part of the world is you already have the corridor, and
The Silk Road,
it's
yeah.
the Silk Corridor, and it is an opportunity. Like Uzbekistan has done a very good job in tourism promotion and everything for Silk Road things, but for anything other than Silk Road things, there is not. It doesn't seem to really break through. You know, when I was researching, I found out about I think it's south of Bukhara, and it's somewhere where there was a well that was leaking, and they fixed it with a nuclear bomb in the 1960s.
Oh, it is in Karakal, Pakistan, in Aral Sea,
Right,
I think,
okay,
yeah,
right.
the island, yeah.
No, it's not an island.
Ah.
It's in the desert. I'll show you the
It's
YouTube
different.
video
It's different.
later.
I don't know about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Right. Well, like I don't know that I want to go and see a nuclear test site, but maybe I do. You know, and so there's lots of other things here, like this, and every time you're able to experience something more, it's another opportunity to fall in love with the country, to understand why you really need to come back here again.
And by the way, this place is not popular for foreign, especially package travelers.
Well,
yes, you will never.
that's
you
because
will
they
never
don't
meet-
know about your cherries, man.
This Charvak Chimgan area is most popular for domestic tourists. Yes, for people from Tashkent. Yes.
Well, when we came on the train from Tashkent,
Do you find it interesting even for Silk Road travelers?
yes,
Those who stick in Silk Road concept, yes, and travel from one.
I mean, for people who all they care about is the Silk Road, then perhaps not. But very few people only care about the Silk Road, you know? And this is a beautiful area. The train ride was very pretty, very interesting, very local. Like, I think we were the only Western tourists on the train. I could be wrong. And this is obviously, and going up on the cable car, I normally make fun of cable cars because I think they're silly. But you get to the top and there's all these things clearly for local tourism. And it's very interesting to sort of see what is interesting for local people, you know, because it's often very different.
Yes,
you know?
it's also a part of your discovering of the country. Yes, you see how
Yeah.
local people
What do you
spend
do
their
for
time,
holiday?
yeah?
Yeah.
travel,
You know.
enjoy weekend. Yeah. Thank you so much. This is my cherry from my garden, and I'm very happy to invite
Oh, thank you
our
very much.
Australian friends operating in Southeast Asia to our dacha here in Charvak. Thank you very much,
Oh,
Stuart.
thank you for having me.
I do hope we will continue to exchange experiences and
And-
make this travel world better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll repay the favor. When you come to Bali, you can stay in my Balinese dacha, and then we'll
Great.
be even.
And now it's time to go to Banya.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, sounds good. Thank you.